Oh, yes.
All right, here we go. Hello and welcome to Aetheryte Radio, Gamerscape's Final Fantasy XIV podcast. I'm FusionX, and joining me today we have Bryn, Aldino, and Sil. What's going on, guys?
Not much, man.
Hello.
What a do?
All right, lots of information to go over. PAX East was last weekend. Then just yesterday too, we had the Nico Chokaiji event, so we had a live letter with that. Got an interview shoved in there somewhere, and some Mog Station items. So we'll go ahead and just jump right in here. We'll kind of work our way up from PAX East. They had a panel.
Very excited.
That panel, it was weird because I was talking with some of the folks over at Square after the panel. I'm like, that could have gone really bad because they did a live Q&A. They did. The panel was on Saturday. And Friday at the booth, you could submit questions. And so as they had a bag of, they'd randomly draw them out. Like, obviously, they, took out the really stupid ones, right? But it was randomized to an extent. And then as, in between that, they would actually take questions from the audience, which, man, that could have gone so bad. But it actually went really well. And hopefully they consider doing that again, because I think it's cool for players to have that opportunity to, like, actually stand up and be like, hey, here's the question that's going on to me.
So I'm watching and I'm listening to that, and obviously some of the questions have actually that they asked have been asked before, and the whole time I'm sitting here going, I wonder if Fusion's just losing his mind, going, pay attention, people. This has been asked. This was covered.
I will say there were a few questions where it's like there was the guy asking about parrying. I'm like, they talked about that a little bit earlier.
Come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
But
they asked about parrying. They asked about
flight in older areas,
Summoner Agonies,
Ninja Buffless.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff.
So it's like, okay. And it's definitely important. So I think the obvious thing is that not everybody can pay attention to all the information that comes out.
Sure.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, these are good questions, and they're going to hopefully hit a huge, wide audience with that information. But anyway, so it was fun because I was like, okay, and it was always great when they got to a question that hadn't been asked yet, and I was like, oh, awesome, this is the one I was.
Like that's actually a good question. Like, good job, person in the audience. All right.
Thank you for restoring my faith in humanity and our player base.
We'll just go down the list here. We aren't covering every single thing. We're going to pull out the bigger thing. I say the bigger things, right, as I'm looking at the outline, and I have like the mention of Peaches. But we do have the full transcript of the PAX panel up on the website, gamerscape.com, as well as the information that we got out of the Nico live letter. So for everything from those, make sure to check out the website. And there's some other stuff we'll plug here in a bit. But one of the first questions they talked about, they are working on a new smartphone app because people have been kind of sitting around for a while. And they said with this new app, you're going to be able to chat with friends, free company members, and Link Shell members. And it sounds like some of this might already actually be done, but they don't want to just have like, oh, it's like a chat app. So they're going to add some other stuff to it. And it's looking like access to retainers and market boards.
That's the part I worried about.
Huge.
That's the part I worried.
Oh, are you worried about it? Like for me, I'm
worried
like,
about
this
that
is
because
incredible.
Because this game's been doing so well. I've been watching the market because I love, here's like with all the crafting and all the selling I do, like my whole thing is I'm trying to make as much gil as possible.
Oh yeah. For you, it's not going to be as beneficial. It's just going to make you more competitive. The person who wins is the player who's doing the shopping, because this is going to make it more easy for everybody to compete. And hello, other voice.
My cousin stepped in. Look, she wants to say hi.
Hi.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, she's a little cutie. But no, the reason I was writing about that is because we haven't had any market board hackers in this game, where I see that in a lot of other games happening very, very fast.
Got a special guest member.
Yeah.
Joining us for the first time on Aetheryte Radio.
But that's really it. My whole point was just that I feel like if you're able to access the retainers, you might be able to do like the price matching that people used to do with the bots. And WoW, I know it happened the most.
Yeah, it's always kind of like when they start like involving anything with Gil, because I mean I remember back in 1.0 there would be people just in areas with market boards and they'd be like, my Gil is like disappearing, what's going on? Because people would hack in and they were doing all sorts of weird stuff. So now it's like, okay, so we'll kind of open that up a little bit and like put it on phones. What could go wrong? I feel like some kind of exploit is inevitable with this.
Right.
I mean,
well,
I hope
and hopefully not, but yeah.
It's open-ended a little bit.
Yeah, and hopefully, there's no exploits that come out, but there's a possibility for that anyway. But the reality is that being able to chat with Link Shell, being able to, they wanted this app to seem valuable, and I think from what they said, they want to have it out before 4.0. It seems for me like I'm like, oh, this is great. What I like outside of just like being able to maybe look at what's being sold. I mean, who knows? Because they could always just say you can see and get a sale history and then log in and put something up for sale. I mean, it's like they don't have to. I mean, they have full control over what it does, and so we don't know yet what all that actually looks like. But the thing that like for me is like if they can allow me to send my retainers out on ventures without having to log in. Oh man, it's like just put that reminder up on my phone. Boop 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 boop. It's like, and as long as I have the ventures to do it, then making that something I think for me would be fantastic.
I would love airships on that too.
I was thinking that too. I'm like, but how far does that go, right? It's like, oh well, if we have retainers, why not airships? Well, if we have airships, why not like queue for Crystal Tower before I log in? Like, I mean,
exactly.
That would be I mean, you can already do that with Guildworks. I'm not sure what they think about that officially, that you can accept a queue from Guildworks from your phone.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure if I learned anything about their official word on that.
Right.
What would be interesting is, I mean, to the point like you're making, is like at some point, like where's that line drawn? Because within like a couple of features, all of a sudden you're like, well, this is Final Fantasy XIV mobile. It's like here, and we talked about this like a year ago when they talked about like triple triad for the phone. Like it's like, oh man, how great would it be?
That would be actually really cool. Yeah.
Triad, well, even if you're not in game, but it's still all linked or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah. The line there starts skirting.
We're seeing that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the line they start skirting is like whether it becomes just like a little addition as opposed to becoming then a necessity to play the game and stay competitive is to have this app.
Right.
And if you don't have it, you start falling behind or you start missing queues, or you start doing this or that, and that's what you don't want.
And to that point, like I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like WoW had something like this, but they charge like $1 a month for it. And so if there's an extra fee to that, that's where, and if it's needed to stay competitive, that that ends up getting. And again, all of this is unknown what's happening, but there is that sense that we could be is this more of another microtransaction that's now required? To your point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's see. Moving on. For this app too, they are aiming to have it out right before the expansion. It sounds like, so it may not be too far off. So we'll see. I mean, if they're charging or if it's just free stuff because we're already paying the subscription. That's the problem with a lot of the Mog Station stuff. It's like, I'm already paying the subscription. That's kind of everybody's like go-to excuse for why they should have to pay for anything. But we'll get into that a little bit later too, because there's some new stuff on the Mog Station that I want to kind of mini rant about. They are waiting.
It's expensive.
Yeah. They are waiting on a contract to get worked out. To bring items over from the Japanese 7-Eleven campaign. It's kind of more of just what we knew already. They're working on it. We'll see them at some point here. There was the Phantasy Star Online 2 14 collaboration announced, what was it? The last live letter, I think, right? Or a little bit before. But they've been talking about it. Obviously, the big thing was like, oh, all of us like North American players, we remember like when we were gonna get PSO2 back in the day, and we're still waiting. But they did say that if they do add Phantasy Star Online stuff into Final Fantasy XIV, that it will be for all regions. So it's not like only the Japanese players are gonna get it. Only so it will be for everybody, regardless if we can actually play PSO2.
I'll believe that when I see it.
Who knows? They're gonna be busy. I don't know if they'll have the time to work for that.
I've been hurt before.
And it's not on their schedule right now, so
they have lots.
They're really busy working on our next bullet point here. There was a question. There are all sorts of fruits right now that we can get. Apples, oranges, all this stuff, but no peaches.
There are no peaches.
So it has been confirmed that 4.0 will have peaches.
And that's a real make or break moment for the game.
It was a large oversight.
It's funny
when
because
you can't brew peach tea.
Yeah. I hope somebody brought that up at the panel.
Yeah, we had that moment a little earlier when we were talking about like people asking questions that like have already been asked. I'm kind of cringing, and people asked about peaches, and I'm thinking, we had peach branches in 1.0.
Yeah. We did,
peach branches. Right? Like, but it's like, but where did they come from? Like,
let's get Koji on it. We need some lore clarification for that, Koji. Let's go.
Came from the world of Mahak.
Event, I guess we imported peach branches or something. So, They are looking into changes for parry. They said this before. They're either looking to have them with 3.4 or the expansion. It's getting to the point where I think a lot of stuff is going to be like, with the expansion. Right. This, probably with the expansion. So I think just the way that they have their work like timeline and stuff planned out right now, a lot of stuff is going to be for the expansion. Yeah. But they're still looking in for having Chocobo companions out while queuing for duties. That's old. I mean, it's glad that they're glad that they're still talking about it. Yoshida said the one Chocobo guy, and every time somebody asks this question, his heart breaks just a little more.
Poor man.
They're open to removing gender lock on some of the gear. Let them know on the forums what pieces you want. A lot of people want like the bunny outfit from Gold Saucer and stuff like that for males. Related to this, we also have some new lists up on the wiki for male and female specific gear. So if you need a refresher on kind of what's out there, we do have those available. We tweeted that out earlier in the week, so you can find those easily enough to search on the wiki too. There are talks of doing some Final Fantasy XIV specific concerts in Japan, perhaps with some new Primal songs. This is probably new to a lot of people, but back at PAX Prime last year when we talked to Soken, he was kind of entertaining the idea of doing concerts. So we kind of had an idea that might be coming down the road, but it looks like they're still thinking about it, so that's really cool to see. Somebody asked about Doom Train, which made me really happy after that little tease that we had for the anniversary event. They're like, yeah, there's a hint at the next Primal. And so there's like one NPC that's talking about like Thoradin Extreme, and then I'm like, okay. And then there's another one that mentioned like a Clockwork Doom Train minion. I was like, Doom Train.
Give me.
But we never got Doom Train. So they said, I don't know, maybe 5.0. Maybe when the player gets to go to the Garlean Empire, maybe it won't be on tracks. Flying Doom Train, maybe. Who knows? We'll see.
As long as I get to suplex it, I'm pretty much perfect.
I told him, I'm like, if we could get like Godbert to suplex a Doom Train.
Oh my God, it'd be amazing.
That would sell copies right there.
Even if we just get a minion. Yeah. Just have a Godbert minion suplex the Doom Train minion. It'd be great. That's what I want. I just want to see it.
I'm already in love with this game, but that would just be legendary.
I could easily see that happen. Well, I could easily see that actually happening.
Yeah.
It's like,
that'd be amazing.
Hey, I've got the Doom Train minion. I've got the. Oh my gosh, this is incredible.
That'd be so great.
That would be the greatest interaction.
After that quest, they can expand the Gold Saucer, and there will be a little game where you can suplex.
Yes.
Doom
Train. For points.
instead of punching Gilgamesh, you can suplex it.
Yes.
Iggy Glamours, they're still wanting to do that. It sounds like they come with each patch, and they will probably start with Carbuncle. I don't know if that means like you'll have an option to glamour like a Carbuncle on your current Eggies, or if it's like, all right, you could change Carbuncle into whatever you want. So for all four of you that haven't leveled Summoner up and unlocked
exactly.
I think from their previous way, whenever they talk about it, it sounded like just people were missing Carbuncle once it became full-fledged summoners. So it's just that they'll be able to use a Carbuncle skin on their leveled up Eggies. That's what it seemed like.
And then as they add, like the different summons, you can just, because it doesn't, the summoner, the way it works, I think works real well. You have a tank summon, you have got a physical attack summon, and you got a magical attack summon. Yeah. It's like, okay, that you get, you have that kind of that trifecta there, and this, it's like, okay, well, there's adding a different skin doesn't change the summoner and how they play. It just like it's a preference thing, and right. So for me personally, like I would love to be able to have Carby or have bring out a different summon from time to time. It's just like with anything with the glamour system as it exists today. It's like I don't have to be like every other summoner.
It's funny because it's like machinists like, oh, we'll let you guys remove like the Goss Barrel thing. Like,
I was just gonna say
it's
that
like too. Awesome, and then like summoners is like, we're gonna give you guys a whole bunch of glamours for your Eggies.
Well, I assume eventually in 4.0,
machinist you get a text command.
My question is,
just take your Gas Barrel and turn it into a Carbuncle, and that'll just be so cool.
Are there going to be 3 different Carbies, or is it just going to be one? Does Garuda become
I will say, not that I am privy to such information digging, but I know that there have been various models of colored things in the game for a while. So we've seen them on the new lamps too. So I mean,
exactly.
That's probably a little foreshadowing there of what we're.
That'd be awesome. I would love that. I mean,
absolutely. As a summoner, I'm tired of looking at Garuda. Give me something.
All right. After the Q&A, they did actually bring out some new information. They announced the Deep Dungeon.
Cannot wait.
It's funny because I ran into Koji at the booth after this. He's like, "You got the reference, right?" And I was like, "No." So for those who don't know, like me, Deep Dungeon is actually a reference to a place from Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yep.
But similarly, the Palace of the Dead is actually a reference to Tactics Ogre. So it's kind of like a 2-in-1 there.
That one I did get.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool.
Bravo.
So the way that this is going to work is you can either enter these deep dungeons solo or in a light party, 4 people, and it starts at level 1. So there's this whole like independent progression system. So you go in at 1, and you can go up to different floors, and as you get to different floors, there's like save points and stuff. So if you die, you can kind of come back at those save points, and your item level basically isn't going to mean anything. So what happens is as you kind of progress through these floors, you'll run into items or ways to kind of like unlock. I don't know. See, I don't know if it just like gives you bonuses or if it like unlocks restrictions on your stats. You know, like so if I have like 100 strength and I go in and I get like a strength rune or something, if that just like basically says, oh, like that item level, negligible thing, like if it just like removes it from strength or if it just gives me like a strength boost, I don't know how that's going to work.
Right.
But as you go through, items will make you stronger. There's going to be bosses on multiple floors, and they will add floors with future updates as well. So it's going to be like the never-ending dungeon. They are currently scheduling this for patch 3.35. They are also planning, and I know Brian is like super happy about this. He's like, they are planning a score ranking system in a future update.
Yeah, and I mean, they said that as it applies to, obviously, the Deep Dungeon, and I'm curious to see how that goes, because I've kind of said, like, I would love to see a score ranking system applied to the PvE content we have.
Absolutely.
Just to combat the request for meters, because I really don't want, like, meters to be required, but if at the end of the dungeon it says whether you suck or you don't suck, it's like...
Something flashy at the end, like...
Yeah. Well, I love it. That's one of the big things I love about the PvP. It's like, I love PvP. At the end, I'm like, how did I do?
You get the splash board, and it's just cool. It makes it
metrics are fun
to be like play well.
Yeah.
And
you're
especially
because you are playing an RPG, because metrics are fun. It's like, give me stats. Give me
numbers.
I want to say too that they mentioned with these. I think they said that the score ranking was going to be for solo play only. I think they said that in the panel, but it's basically like, that way, and it's, job based. So if you go in, you get a score. It says, okay, out of all the Dragoons that have done this solo, you are like, number 4 or something, depending on all the other people. I don't know. I think that's what they said. But it's possible too that if that goes well, they might expand that in a regular PvE.
The solo option is why I'm like expecting to be very impressed with this Deep Dungeon format, because if any class is allowed to go in solo, that must mean that they must have to make it work a little differently depending on who you go in with.
No.
It's interesting.
No, you don't think so?
Yesterday,
I don't.
During the Nico live letter, there was a mention of it's not actually going to scale depending on party members involved. So it's really just one of those.
It's scaled for 4.
Yeah, it's meant for 4, but you can go in solo. So if you're feeling brave.
I took it to mean something else.
Cool. I mean, that's going to be like, if you really want to challenge yourself, go in with yourself or go in with just one other person and, see what you can do. Because, but they said that it is balanced and planned as if there are 4 people. So it's not, it's not going to, but they only clarified that with the latest live letter was not, when we originally heard it, like it was like, okay. Well, I'll go and do it myself, or I can do, But what's really, I think, my personal fascination with this is that it's a completely independent progression system.
Yes.
And it starts, and what we just learned, it starts at level 17. And so my assumption is that anybody who's playing, through ARR, as long as you have Heaven's Word, should have access to this quest. Now, we don't know that yet or not, but it'd be really cool to see. Yeah. Kind of how that plays out. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm also very excited because it reminded me of Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
The fractal system.
Yeah. And you mentioned Heaven's Word 2. I don't know. It's always rough when an expansion comes out, right? Because they always add all this new content. I'm like, do I need the expansion? Well, technically, this is in the Black Shroud. Like, it's not in a 3-4 area. So I don't want to say either way, but I mean, it could be either way.
They could always make it non-required of Heaven's Word. That'd be something interesting.
Really probably cool. Pretty nice.
And that was it for the PAX panel. Also, last weekend at PAX, we did get a chance, me and Anwell sat down with Koji and asked him a whole bunch of lore questions. We also talked to him about the lore book that's supposed to be coming out right around FanFest. I don't think they've answered any other questions about that before, so make sure to check that out. Lots of really cool stuff in that lore book. We also just a bunch of other random lore questions, so that's up on the site. We got a Lorecast episode out with all that as well, so make sure to check that out. Also, just the other day, they added new items to the Mog Station. The first ever
mixed reactions.
Yeah, so they added there's a Sid and a Garland Ironworks attire costumes that you can get. The Sid one is male only. The Garland Ironworks is for male and female, which is kind of funny, coming out of the discussion about unlocking gender lock pieces. But then they have what is it? It's like 3 carbuncle lamps that you can. Yeah. They have like a lot of the thing is like these are items that kind of already existed in the game, but now they have special effects on them. So they have these 3 colored carbuncles, and if you put them on top of each other, like the light pattern makes like another pattern. It's like, all right, that's cool. But like, if you have 3 lamps that are the same shape and you put them on top of each other, that means if you want to turn them off, you're gonna have to like move them all away from each other, turn them off, put them back. Like, I don't know about that. That's kind of weird. But they also have a Moogle and a Bahamut furniture item that are pretty big. They're also $15.
The Bahamut item already existed, didn't it?
That's why I got
$15.
We already have that in my guild house. Yeah, $15 it's nuts. The thing is, the costume costs $8. The costume pieces cost $8, don't it?
Right.
But that's like standard. That's like what it's been going for.
That's cool. I'm good with that. I'm just surprised the furniture pieces are double that almost. Like I just don't. I don't understand.
I mean, it's definitely not like pay to win stuff. I mean, it's
not.
Not
at
all.
Like, do you have $15 that you want to set on fire? Well, send it to send it to Square instead.
It's
I mean, if they ever released that cloud bike, I would have thrown $100 at this game, if not more. I would have given them anything they wanted.
Saying that. Yeah.
Shut your mouth, man. Shut your mouth. Don't tell them your price.
Firstborn child.
We were going to sell it for 10, but you know what?
Still said he'd pay 100 for it. So, but yeah, a lot of these items are in the game already. Like the carbuncle lamp, there's just like a blue one. There's just a normal lamp. And so now they have these other colored ones with some patterns that show on the floor. They had a Moogle plush already. Now there's like a giant one that has some animations and lights around it. They had the Bahamut thing already. You could buy it with free company points. Now they just have a bigger one that lights up. But it's like, man, $15, and it's. I think for me the problem is like, okay, if you want to buy a mount or like a costume, right? Like that's cool because you can go out and again, it's not like pay to win or anything. It's not hurting anybody. So it's all cosmetic stuff. But at least with that stuff, you can go out and be like, hey, look what I got. With like a furniture piece, it's like, I'll put this in my house or my room and no one will ever see it. It's like, why bother?
But note from the latest live letter, though, they were in as a part of the questions USGP, they said they're trying to incentivize something to have people go visit each other's houses. And so, maybe this could be a little foreshadowing. Hey, go see the money that I spent.
Was it last year before for the Starlight event? They used people's yards because people would quest the trees and stuff, and then you'd have to go out into the housing wards and click on the trees and stuff, and that was kind of cool.
That was kind of cool. That was actually well done.
Going into the houses could be tricky because you could lock your house. So I don't know. We'll
I'm always embarrassed by the state of my house.
I'm homeless.
Please don't tell anybody how I live.
Yeah, $15 seems a little steep for just something that's gonna sit in my house and glow. And then there's there's always the issue of if somebody picks it up, like it doesn't delete on pickup.
Right.
But like if you share a house or if you put it in your free company house and someone comes along and they're like, I like this, I'm gonna take it and put it in my room. Like then you're out of luck. Which
because is it account locked to you saying, oh, you bought this and thus you're the only one who can interact with it?
Just the way that those systems are structured, it's anybody can pick it up. And I think the biggest problem is, and I always feel kind of stupid when I have to tell this story, but when the Magitech mounts came out, I had gotten a code for one of them, and I put it in, and I have mules on other servers with the same name, so I accidentally selected the wrong server. Support can do absolutely nothing when it comes to code generation for mistakes like that. They cannot do a thing. And so now you're like, okay, so we have these $15 furniture items, and if somebody else picks it up, you're out of luck. Like, that's not cool. Yeah. Like, you know, I hope that's like, maybe they haven't told us, but I hope support is better now for stuff like that, because that's kind of like,
oh, that,
you know,
it's like, I didn't understand the single character. I didn't understand the concept of, especially the paid content that's single character, when especially like if you look at our veteran rewards, that's an account-wide thing. The Slefner mount, that's an account-wide mount.
There's no consistency with that stuff.
Then there's like, there isn't, and I think that that's a problem that for the community. The player base is like, everything I've bought is account based, and they might say, hey, this is character based, but you might not necessarily connect those dots. Everything that you've purchased up to this time is working one way, and these things work a different way. And I just don't understand. I didn't understand that logic and why that was created that way specifically.
Yeah, it's like the Sleipnir mount. You buy it. I think Sleipnir is like $24. You buy it, and it's account wide. If you buy the Magitech mount, it's like half the price, or 15? Is it 15? It's less.
It's like 15. It's like $12.
Yeah, it is less.
It's 12 or 15, something like that. But it's for one character. It's like, why?
I assume the difference. Is that why? Because they charged you less for it. It's no longer. It's not account bound.
It's weird. So why is it like a $15 Sleipnir mount, right? Like, I
don't understand. It doesn't seem. Yeah, exactly.
But
because they know you'd buy it.
The mind boggles.
Right. Yeah, for those that are into that kind of stuff, go ahead and check that out.
There's been a real positive side to it, because that's what funded the European data center stuff. So I'm curious as to.
I'm all for it. Like, if people want to spend the money, but there needs to be, I think, more incentive. Like like I said, with the mounts and the attire and stuff, you can pop that on, go out to Idleshire and be like, look at me. Like, that's fine. If you want to do that. But with like furniture stuff, it's like I'm living over here by myself. I'm just gonna buy this $15 Moogle. It looks really cool and lights up, but nobody's ever gonna know that I have it.
I've always been a fan of the cash shop. It's never been like game breaky in any way. I never really gave anybody any advantages. I just you could do a little bit better. That's really it.
There's a certain amount of like, I don't know if this is the right way to phrase it, but a certain amount of like bragging too that comes with that stuff, right? It's like, check out this cool thing that I bought. Like, look at me, like I'm hot shit. Like. And that's fine. Like, if you want to spend the money, totally, and some of the mounts are like really cool looking. Some of them are just color reskins, whatever. But
I buy a lot of the stuff off that.
I don't know.
Yeah, if I like a game, I'm going to throw money at it, because it
like the snow,
saved me money by playing it.
Tire.
Yeah.
And you bring up an excellent point, Charles. It's that it's like, I'm enjoying the game, and if they release something that you want, awesome,
just get it.
Yeah. It'll bring me more than $15 worth of joy in the long run. It really will, and it's maybe not for everyone, but it absolutely does it for me.
It's like all those
you need to throw a Moogle dance party.
Yeah, I feel bad for when they 7 Swords. It's like, we're gonna get flying mounts, and all these people that spent $24 on Sleipnir are like, well, all right.
Sorry.
I assume that's why they're gonna make
4.0.
I think that's why they're going back and making everything flying compatible, even though it didn't really make sense lore-wise. The turtle never needed to fly, but since you spend so much time getting the turtle and
Fenrir, obviously makes sense.
Fenrir better fly. For the time I spent for that, get out of here.
I want a Sky Bear mount.
One of the things, Sky Bear.
Never.
It's not like the tank mount, because I know they're gonna make the tank mounts fly. I want like legitimate like polar bear model, like Sky Bear mount, and I want there to be a description about it, about how there was like this legend of a bear in Western Corthus Highlands that could fly.
Yeah.
Make me buy it, Square. Make me buy it.
One of the things that we didn't actually really touch on that was from the PAX East is a question talking about making flying available in the ARR zones. And they said
that was one of those they've addressed before too.
Well, they have. This is kind of, they added a little bit more context to it, because they basically said, well, we could do it, but it's going to delay 4.0. And I was happy that the audience says, no, we want 4. We want We're focusing on new zones, but at the same time, it is definitely like what that told me is that it is definitely on the game plan, and whether that's 5.0 or some point, because. With 4.0, they've said that there's going to be flying and all the zones going forward. The reality is like with 4.0, there's going to be more zones that you can fly in than you can't, and so at some point there's going to have to be something that brings that up to date. But and he also said it was like, well, right now if you flew, you would go over to the mountain and you would see all these just pixels or all these
like
there's nothing there.
I mean, people would do this back in alpha and beta. They try and like break the map and go off the map, and there might be places where you can still do it, but you go out and it's basically a lot of like the kind of mountains or rocks or whatever are one-sided. You go behind them and there's just nothing.
Yeah.
Or you go further out and all those cool trees you see in the background in the shroud are like super pixelated, and they're like, so that'd be a lot of work. And it's not just like, we'll just make a new map and just throw it.
It's a lot of work.
You gotta readjust positions for NPCs and quest cutscene stuff, and there's a lot that probably goes into that I don't think.
Yeah, because the original game and the original areas were made so long ago. At this point, they never had even any idea of flying then, so they were never made with that in mind. So you can't just be like, here, you can fly now, which some people seem to expect is the thing.
They also had a lot on their plate with rebuilding the entire game, so I can't blame them at all for that.
And you also got to consider too, for a lot of the stuff. I mean, back in the day, I think I'm probably one of the only people really pushing this. Is they talked about going up in the sky or maybe going down, which maybe would imply like some sea or ocean stuff. Okay, so they redo like the shroud. Cool. What happens when they introduce swimming? It's like, redo this again, like or do they wait till they have all that stuff and do it? Like
the way that I would say that I would figure to do it is that it would make sense that they would bring in swimming, and then you look at the old zones. And my thought is that imagine you take the old zone layout and then you expand it to the size of the new zones that we have, but you can't get to any of that stuff unless you've hit the a certain quest. So let's say, okay, well, just like they did with the Sea of Clouds, like, once you hit a certain quest, you actually enter into the Black Shroud from this other location, and you were never aware of it first. And now it's like, boom, boom, you unlock flying, and now you have this where what we see of the zone is X, but then all they do is they just take that. I mean, it would be a new zone built from the ground up. Yeah. But it would be. But you're right. I agree with Fusion. It's like, get the swimming system in, because otherwise it'll be weird if like all of a sudden it's like, okay, well now we got to wait a couple more patches before they go back and update the old zones for this swimming.
Well, and I think
there's no real big bodies of water in any of the new zones. Mm-hmm. Unless I'm mistaken. I just
and if there is, it's frozen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I think something else to consider too. I mean, and you brought up a point with kind of expanding the areas that we currently have for the Realm Reborn areas. I mean, there's still areas that we don't have, and a lot of people are like, we're gonna go east for 4.0, and then we might kind of go into like the Garlean Empire for 5.0. They kind of I think we're playing with us on that, but there's a lot of areas, was it like East Shroud, right? Or West Shroud? West Shroud. We don't have yet. There's a lot of areas for Korthus we don't have that were in 1.0. We know they exist. But it's like if we're going into a new area, it feels weird to add another area kind of like back at home. So maybe they just do an update where it's just, down the road, it's just like, okay, like Eorzea, we're just going to be like, okay, this area is back, flying and done. Like,
Yeah.
It's tough to say.
Yeah. The real trick though is that you make that there's content and interesting things to see, because that was the biggest problem. And for anybody who was obviously around for that would remember, it's like, there's just all this nothing. You just have these long gaps of it's this area, but there was nothing there. And what they've really done a masterful job with is that all these areas and these marks and everything seem like they're important. They have this history. They're interesting to look at. And so that way, it would be hopefully just like with what Fusion was talking about. They bring them back, but then there's stuff to do, and there's a purpose for that area and that us being able to access it.
Yeah.
Please look forward to it as the summer.
Please look forward to it.
Always.
Yep. All right. Yeah. We'll go ahead and move into the live letter from the Nico Chokaiji event. This was just yesterday, so a lot of this information might be new to people if they weren't up at in the middle of the night. Like I was. I'm getting sick. What kind of smart life choice could I make tonight? I'll get up in the middle of the night and just watch a guy talking Japanese. Sounds good. All right.
Worth.
So patch 3.3 has a title. It is Revenge of the Horde.
The best thing to come out of that.
I love the reaction from
back and forth. That was the best thing about Friday for me. So, Fusion, why don't you tell them what we're talking about? Because
so they had the tweet. They were tweeting out stuff as they were doing the live letter, and they put out the patch title. And Warcraft, the official Warcraft Twitter account goes up, and they go, "Revenge of the what?"
They have a nice little animated
and it's funny because a lot of people are doing like GIF reactions and stuff. And and then the European League of Legends account comes in and posts one of those kind of GIFs.
Yeah.
And then
fun.
Final Fantasy 14.
I love how they all play.
The next morning with it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. So make sure to check that. I'm sure you could probably find it around pretty easy. But yeah, so that was pretty cool.
I was hoping for the Denny's, the Taco Bell Twitter to come in because they're also notorious for being
Sonic
amazing.
the Hedgehog. That Twitter is amazing.
Yeah, I love that one.
One of the first things they did announce are the new dungeons for 3.3. So we're going to get one. It's part of the main scenario. It's called Sor Kai. And Nanamoose, our good old buddy here, says that with the translation of the Dravanian in that, it's looking like it might be like apology or sad, so like remorseful apology, which is kind of a weird name for a dungeon, but this is part of the main scenario. It looks like it's in the Churning Mists.
Yeah, it does.
And
I think it's you can see a Zenith, like from one of the screenshots. Like,
it's
Zenith
hard to tell where it's supposed to be because like Zenith is definitely in it. So unless it's kind of like off, like way to the west somewhere, and it's just like happens to be another thing that looks exactly like Zenith, or maybe it's in some kind of weird dimensional thing that has Zenith. I don't know, but that's definitely that's definitely the landmark there. So
I'm happy that it actually is a part of the main story. It's like because the name of the dungeon when it like first I was like, oh, definitely dealing with some. We're going there obviously for something to do with the dragons because it's like it sounds like just like so much of the dragon dungeons that we've had, and I was like, okay, this is really and the music, which I think they said like they finished just a couple of days before, was incredible. I was like,
it gave me a little bit
they want my money for soundtracks.
It gave me a bit of I don't know if anybody else got this at the beginning of the track. It gave me a little bit of like a Hymn of the Faith feel from Final Fantasy X. Yeah, I was like, ooh, okay. Then of course I kept thinking of that damn scene where she's dancing on the water, and I always get teary at that scene. I'm like, man.
Yeah, I know for sure.
Feels
10-year-old me seeing that for the first time. Oh, tears.
The second dungeon, which I'm like, all right, it's Hullbreaker Isle hard mode. And so this is kind of like Limsa's Halatali hard, where it's the Maelstrom has kind of come in and it's like a training area now.
I'm not gonna lie, I forgot all about Hullbreaker normal. It just like fell away. Like right as soon as I did Hullbreaker, I never looked at it again.
It was a dungeon with a lot of really, really subtle Goonies references.
Yes, that's exactly.
That's awesome.
I actually really enjoyed Hullbreaker. The final boss wasn't like my favorite, but at the end of the day, like I was like, oh, I really like, and I've done that dungeon quite a bit, interestingly lately. And so when they announced that, I was like, oh, good, I'm excited. And so just like kind of what they did with Halatali, we're going back. They've taken over, and this is some kind of training ground, and I'm excited. I think it should be very. I think it was a good choice, and to see, and I'm ready to go back.
Yeah.
I always love new dungeons, so I'm interested.
Yeah, it'll be cool for like the first 2 runs, and then we'll kind of be like,
no, I'll love it every run.
That's the big thing.
I'll love every dungeon every run.
I've got such burnout from the expert roulette right now. I'm just like, oh gosh, no.
See, as a summoner, I love it every single time because we get the big pulls, and then I get to blow everything up. That's what I do it for that.
Since I switched to Machinist, like repeating dungeons has actually been crazy fun because I just try and find new ways to make it a little faster. Use my AoE at the right time.
Do it on. Mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, switching jobs.
New Beast Tribe quests are coming. Dragon and Moogle. I'm not sure, and I don't think they specified this because the picture they showed had like a dragon and some Moogles. So I don't know if it's like both dragon and Moogle together quests or separately Moogle and dragon.
Maybe. I don't know. Like the way I read it was Beast Tribe quest involving the Moogles that explores the relationship between the Moogles and the dragons. And so I think it's in my, from what I read, I think it is one beast, kind of Beast Tribe where it's the Moogles that are driving it as the Beast Tribe. But I don't know. You could be right. We could see, two different ones, which would be interesting because we've been only getting one a patch right now. So.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering if it's maybe like one kind of thing. But there's like a really dark place inside of me that's like there's gonna be one quest where you just have to fly around the entirety of Churning Mists and find like 5 Moogles.
Over and
and that's the thing. Like Yoshi P, he's saying that like he's really hoping that with this introduction, he can bring back the love that people have for Moogles.
Get revenge on the Moogle chieftain.
Destroyed.
People really hated the Moogles, and that's like sad for Final Fantasy.
Could you imagine? I could just see his Beast Tribe quest. It's like, all right, go find 5 Moogles. They could be anywhere. You will get a grade 4 Parry Materia for your trouble.
Please look
that
for
will
it.
only become valuable after
that quest will be so popular after they make that Parry update.
Find 5 Moogles across the land and slaughter them.
That's dark.
Even if you get to do the thing that you do from the Vath, where you like dive bomb them, spray them, that'd be fun too. I love that quest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Poor guy.
Fantastic.
Where you had to like
fumigate
spray crops and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
All I could think of when I did that quest is the old dude from Independence Day, where he was like a crop duster and he like dusted the wrong guy's crops. He's like, what?
Oh man.
I think I did an image of that on Twitter one time. I was really bored one night. Anyway, new raid. We are going to Mach, the weird city of Mach. So that's really cool. It's weird because when you look at these raids, you have like the Crystal Tower series and then you have the Mach series. It's like, okay, Crystal Tower, here's the Lambert, and like the second installment is like the actual Crystal Tower, and now you have like, okay, like this Mach raid. It's like there's a Void Ark, and then actually like you're at Mach, and so then it's like, all right, well, where the hell do we go after that? Like
we're gonna go we're gonna go into one of those coffins. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because it's like we're outside for at least at the beginning portion of it,
right
before we go.
That's what I really like to see. I really enjoyed that. It looks so like, I don't know, it looked very outdoorsy as opposed to the usual inside the tower thing that I was used to, and I don't know, I'm really looking forward to that. It's because we don't have a lot of really cool outdoor dungeons in my mind. Like the Never Reap is cool, but Never Reap was one of the, I don't know, Never Reap got kind of weird. It still felt like a tunnel to me, as opposed to the raids were all inside. But I feel like a 24-man in an outdoor zone is really going to feel like you're outside.
They'll still find a way to make it linear.
Make it a tunnel.
Of course.
You can't go over here because there's water. And we don't have
Give me a dynamis feel. And that was
if they do that thing where they split you off, like, you know, each group goes in a certain way and this, that, and I feel like that'll really make it feel good. I'm looking forward to that. It reminded me of Ion, if anybody played that.
The issue that we had with the first section of the Crystal Tower, the Labyrinth of the Ancients, where, and I don't know about y'all, but it always seemed to be Group B that just couldn't take down Atmos, and I'm like, I had no problem if they split us up, but it's like not that everybody fails if one
fails,
doesn't pull it. Like, okay, we need to double back and go help them, or something like that, but it was just like...
Because then it gives you a moment to be epic as opposed to a moment to be frustrated.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the raid design in Heaven's Word, they definitely have put in more ways to, like, so where one group can't completely, like, screw you up.
Right.
You know, if you look at, like, Void Ark with, like, the room with the gas and stuff, it's all connected.
Yes.
You can run around if people aren't standing on switches.
Then go help. That's a good one.
Alexander, you go into A7. There's, you know, you're kind of going through the rails and stuff like that. But once you get done, like, the other side opens up. So if the other group is lagging behind, you can go over there and help them too.
That's exactly what I mean by, like, oh, go help. You know, if you can, go help. You know, and I think that adds value, and to the outside sense of it, the grandness of it should be really exciting, especially because I just can't. The visual and the aesthetics of the Void Ark, it just is so gross. I'm hoping that we have a little.
That's why I loved it so much. They weren't reusing too many of the textures in the beginning part of the section from the video I was watching. It didn't seem like they were reusing everything from Void Ark yet.
Yeah. The video they did show, the music was still the same, but they just haven't finalized that yet.
They're gonna,
Funny enough, when they first showed us the Void Ark, they were using older music too because they hadn't finished that music yet. So but so that looks really cool. I'm really excited for more lore for Mach.
Yes.
They also showed us a little bit of the Aquapolis, which is what we know previously as the treasure hunting dungeon. They say the entrance for this will randomly appear when uncovering dragon skin maps. It is battle content, so like don't go into the dungeon as a miner and be like, oh yeah, I'll just like pickaxe everything. You have to go in as a battle class, but you can grab a.
I mean, you could go in and try to pickaxe everything. You're just not going to win.
I actually did that early on in ARR. I did a fate as a miner. I was hit stop. I'm like, I wonder if. No.
Do I still have throw a rock?
I'm still upset that we don't have just like little flare attacks from all the from all the classes. Like, I want my machinist to just be able to throw a wrench. Just like, it doesn't need to do any damage. It'll just be funny.
There is an ability where you throw a wrench, isn't there?
Is there? Which one is that? Do I throw a wrench?
It's one of the damage reducing things, I think, isn't it? Don't you like throw?
Oh, maybe I just don't
physical
use
down
that.
or the magic down.
You know what? I take my words
really?
back. Maybe I'm a bad machinist.
You do. You throw something at him. It goes so quick it might be hard to see, but I think you throw like a wrench or something at him.
Oh, okay. Wow, I take everything back. I take it all back.
I don't, as a machinist, I know how to play. Like I get the play through of it because you're always looking at those 3 buttons, right?
Yeah.
You're like,
I'm
okay,
always
that's up. I'll
looking
hit
for
that.
those
But
blocks for 1, 2, 3.
as those animations go off, I'm still looking at those 3 little buttons on my bar.
Yeah, I put it right in the center, so it's like hit
Tunnel
1,
vision
1,
to
1.
the extreme.
Jelly from the chat is confirming that there is a wrench skill.
There we go.
Whoa.
Nice.
Apparently, I have to use my status effects.
It's like that realization of like, wait a minute. This Aetheryte is called Blue Frog.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Wait.
Oh, no, it's blue fog. It's blue fog because there's blue fog. No, there's an R. No.
Are you serious? It's actually Blue Frog?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Right?
Awesome. I'm learning so much today. I love this. Today I'm
whole
studying.
life up until this
Start
point
the
has been
podcast is just to educate you.
Yes.
This will make Brian happy. There's a new Frontlines map coming. This kind of makes me happy too. It's called Fields of Glory Shatter, and it actually looks like it's Korthus based. The very first screenshot they showed, it was actually like snow, but also a little bit of grass. And one of the things that I really missed is like old school grassy Korthus, because I hate the snow Korthus. And so I saw that and I was like, ooh, but then they showed more and it was like more snow than grass. I was kind of like, aw. But so that's
I'm
cool.
really interested in this. Obviously, I'm sure anybody who's a longtime fan of the show, as that wouldn't be surprising. But what I am, there's still all speculation on it. But one of the things that a group of me and my friends were talking about is like, it would be really cool for the 72 stuff if that GC restriction was removed. And so it's like, okay, well, maybe that's what maybe Shatter is you could be a freelance. I don't know. I mean, so they said the rules are going to be similar to that of the Seal Rock, but obviously similar is not the same, and so there is going to be some differences, and we don't know what those are yet. But which is for me, especially like as somebody who's really like enjoys PvP, this is great to see that they're not just putting 100% of their focus just to the feast. That maybe we'll so with 3.3 we'll get a new map for Frontlines. Maybe with 3.4 we'll get some more updates. Maybe a new area for the feast, and kind of have that bounce back and forth. Who knows? I mean, and if that's the case, I think that's a real good win for the PvP community.
Yeah. So Did you guys see the images for this for Fields of Glory? I just had a thought.
Yeah.
If you look at the first image, there's some like kind of elegant stuff in the rock, but kind of like center in that image, there's like this kind of circle thing. Really reminds me of those portals that they have in front of the castrums.
Oh yeah.
I'm wondering if this is close to castrum. What the hell was the name of it? Aquilonus. It's not. It's not actually named on the map. We got that from a while back. But yeah, there's that castrum kind of. You see it from Korthus, and everyone's like, "Oh, well, it's just that one from over." No, it's actually when they started building, and they abandoned it because the Guardians were like, "Wow, snow sucks. Let's not do this here." But I'm wondering, if maybe if it's out that way. I don't know. That made me just kind of think of it. But we can also see in that second image, there's some kind of like ruin, kind of like off in the distance. So I don't know. And there's also like the abandoned like camp tents that we've seen at like the old Aetheryte sites. So like I don't know where this is supposed to be. Maybe this is in one of those areas of Korthus that we haven't had yet. So that would be pretty cool if we get that. Let's see, what else do we have? Housing updates. There's gonna be new plots. New plots for people. They also said that there's gonna be price changes. They haven't said if that means prices are going up or if they're going down. I feel like
the demand for land it would indicate an up, but I don't know.
Well, I think what you need to consider is when housing first came in, they were like, all right, we have to remember because each server had different prices because of how much gil was already in the system. So if they're reevaluating that, like people have a lot more gil now than they used to, just because there's not as many gil sinks. So that's it's like,
what are your big
new
gil
housing
goals
is coming up. I got 30 mil. I'm gonna be able to get my medium house now, and then they come out with like new price. It's like, oh yeah, medium house went from like 30 mil to like 150. So yeah, see you later. Like I don't know, but they are gonna post those on the Lodestone at some point. So fingers crossed. Additionally, they're gonna have flower pots now. So you'll be able to, if you have like a free company room or something like that, you'll be able to, it's not technically gardening, but you'll be able to grow flowers. So a little bit of lag there.
Yeah, that was weird.
Sorry, I was like, wait a minute.
I thought that
Yeah,
was just
so-
me.
I'll just repeat that then. So yeah, we're
Yeah,
getting
go
flower
ahead.
pots now. It's not technically gardening because you can't do crossbreeding, but there will be the ability to grow like flowers, and some of these flowers can only be grown in the flower pot. So we lost
Oh, we lost Charles.
Charles.
Come back,
Bum,
come back to us.
bum. We'll give him a minute here.
Yeah.
Jeez. Oh,
The,
now the cams are
oh,
all
wait.
messed up. Oh no.
Oh.
Well, they're kind of all right. Like you just got like off centered. They're not. So
It's
now,
okay, I'm
now,
just-
now Charles is
fine.
the right half of Brian, and
Oh.
it's a little-
The
little
joys of
Little
live
trippy.
Twitch streaming.
Oh,
At
man.
least in the audio, this could be cut out, and then no one who's listening
Make
to
it-
this later
man,
will
I'm
know.
always like, yeah, we'll just do this in one take. I won't have to edit anything. It'll be great. Oh, never mind.
I've got high hopes.
Give him a minute here.
Let me see if I can just bleed into Charles's mic
just-
here.
Let's just chat with the chat while we wait for Charles. Let's see here.
What's going on,
What's up,
chat? How you
chat?
guys doing?
Hey, what's up?
So we're talking about housing.
We broke
Yeah.
the space-time continuum.
You're welcome.
There you go.
And we'll try to
Artsy,
restore.
there we
Hey, he's back up.
We'll just do some abstract cam setups. Get some like live filtering stuff. We'll bring in some like Photoshop effects. I think I can do that live.
Like,
That'd be
can you
rough.
put me like on the beach? Like if I get a green screen or something?
There you go.
It's like, oh, Brian's broadcasting from the beach because his life is amazing.
Well, it's like, every time you watch the news, like, oh, live on the scene, it's like, that's clearly a green screen. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They are not there. You trying to, like... Oh, man. All right.
I'm trying
I
to.
saw him. All right.
Oh, that's good.
I see him starting to type a little bit. Let's see.
Yay.
I really thought when it froze for a second, I was like, oh no, what have I done? My internet would crash today.
Oh, your fault.
Was that just Skype or Twitch? What? No, that was Skype.
Charles, you should be able to see the...
There we go.
yeah,
Yay!
to
And
call.
just like that, all the cams are magically fixed again. Beautiful.
Yay.
Technology. Yay.
Oh, man.
Future.
Oh, Skype hates me.
Beautiful. It's
The magic of live.
welcome back. So we
Thank
finished
you.
the entire show in the 4 minutes
Good.
that were gone, and
right.
so that's it. And
We replaced you with the rest of my living room.
Yeah, that's good.
all right, moving right along here. Raid Finder. We did know about this earlier, and they're just kind of restating this again. It's going to allow you to set various requirements to join. Things like you can say if you're practicing or clearing. You'll also be able to be a little more specific, like say about what phases you're looking to practice or clear. I don't know if that means you can have the fight start at certain phases. Like that seems like it would be like way too convenient. And a little
That would be
Right.
a lot of
system
work
side
for them to set
do.
that up. I'm sure that's not ready yet.
Yeah, but they also did say, I think earlier, that they were considering allowing you to have like set like achievements as a joining condition. So it's like if you a lot of people will do extreme primals now. It's like you need to have
Right.
eaten this before in order to join. Well, now they've said well you can check for achievements. So yeah, they have clearly done it before in order to join.
Right. Question was, were they carried or did they actually contribute?
That's who knows.
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But so that's coming. There was talk about doing like a cross-world duty finder at some point too, but that's going to be down the road a little bit because they want people to be able to to chat when they're in a party together, and so that's
Right.
taking a little extra time. And then the second hour of this live letter, I don't think anybody would have been able to predict this. We're getting a giant Yokai Watch collaboration event in Final Fantasy XIV this summer.
Who would have seen that coming? It's just nuts how much content
Man.
they're adding for Yokai Watch.
Yeah, so
I am totally a Yokai Watch new because it's like I am like, what is this? I have no clue what it is. I had to go look it up, but like Charles
it's
Fusion,
the new Pokemon
built, like,
basically.
okay, so yeah, like I would
take that.
break that down for anybody who's not aware of what it is because I was like, I had no idea.
Yeah, so I don't I don't know that much about it either. What I do know
Right.
is that it's basically like a Pokemon-esque kind of game. Yokai are like ghosts, and you can go around and you can get them on your team, and they can fight for you and stuff like that. There's an anime for it too. It came out later last year, I think, for us. But they're getting ready for the third game now in Japan, which is I think there's 2 editions. It's like sushi and tempura. Like okay,
so it's like Pokemon, but they're also making fun of the template.
Yeah. So those are going to come out in Japan. Yokai Watch 3 is out this summer, and so this collaboration event is going to be kind of timed with that. And so the way that's going to work is we're going to get 13 Yokai Watch minions, and yeah, each one of those is kind of corresponding to one of the 13 jobs that we have in the game right now, and so each job is going to get a weapon that corresponds to one of those 13 yokai. Some are cooler looking than others.
I like the daggers and the Dark Knight weapon. The Dark Knight weapon is actually pretty badass.
I like the Summoner one is so bad.
They were joking on the stream, because there's that one yokai that's like the dog, but it has like the face of like a normal person, and it looks really weird and creepy. And so as they were like, like Ninja has this cool one, and Dragoon has this one, and everyone's like, oh god, who's gonna get the dog? And Summoner got the dog, but the Summoner book actually kind of looks kind of cool.
I like it. The face actually looks pretty cool. If you just didn't know what the minion looked like, the book itself is pretty good.
Yeah, it's not horrible.
That minion is upsetting.
Yes,
I think Charles. Do you have a disagreement on that?
I hate that book with burning passion. Oh my god, it's like the Cognitome cast in metal. It's not great.
But with a really weird guy dog thing. Red glowing eyes.
Oh my goodness.
It's just it's very pitiful. Like I think that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
I could just imagine being like Koji and Oda-san, right? Like the guys in charge of like the world lore. They're sitting there and they get this email like, oh, what's this? It's like, you need to figure out how Yokai Watch is going to come into Eorzea. It's like,
what?
Okay.
You're ruining my vision.
Yeah, you're ruining my immersion. There's going to be, if you collect all the minions, all 13 minions, you are also going to get a mount, which is the ghost. I think was it Whisper. He's like the white, kind of very kind of more of a traditional ghost design on him. But you'll get that. And they said the weapons may be more difficult to get. And they said that we want to have you have to put some thought into which weapon you want to aim for. So I don't know what that means. I would hope that it's possible to get all the weapons, just kind of based on, we had the Lightning Returns event stuff go up on the Mog Station. I don't want to have to, drop $100 of, in Mog Station just for like Yokai Watch weapon glamours down the road if I don't, get them. I would like to think that they would let you get all of them. But who knows? So yeah, a giant collaboration. And then in the new Yokai Watch game, there's actually going to be a Chocobo and a Moogle like yokai that you can get as well. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's
that's
not just on our
exciting.
end. They're going to get something too.
Yeah.
So it's the weirdest thing.
I was hoping we'd get more like Dragon Quest MMO stuff on our side.
That'd be great.
We already got Dragon.
We got some.
I would love that. I loved what they did earlier with it, and so it would be kind of neat. And we'll and that will probably come true when we see, I guess, whatever's coming next with Dragon Quest, because we still never gotten 10 over here.
No, we still never got that here.
This is North America. We don't play Dragon Quest over here.
Obviously.
Which is sad.
Do that.
Which is sad. Yeah. I love Dragon Quest.
Oh, it's so good.
I still remember getting it from my Nintendo Power subscription way back in the day.
Yeah.
God.
I was like, what is this game? Oh, that was my introduction.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see those items up on the Mog Station soon, now that we've had the and the 11 collaboration items too.
Yeah.
If they want money, instead of releasing like $15 lamps, they should really just release all that stuff that everybody will want to buy.
Right? Put out the Cloud Bike, put out the Tifa Glamours, put out, all that kind of...
Put them out. Just pander as hard as you like. I'll buy it all.
So if we're ever looking for somebody to blame for all the new stuff coming up in the cash shop, it's this guy right over here.
It's right here.
I
love it. I love the glamours. Glamours are my second end game.
Cool. I'd be a sucker if they ever come out with like a Squall Glamour.
Oh
yeah. Yeah.
I'd be all for that.
I bet they will, but I'm thinking it might be tied with the veteran awards as opposed to direct to the
sure. I noticed that too, and
a
I
little
think
too
really,
badass.
They need to time that too with 5.0 for going over to Garlemald. We need to have some kind of a trial,
gun
whether
blade.
it's just gun whatever, gun shield, gun blade, gun bag knocks,
everything.
gun,
a gun book. I want it.
Gun book.
Gun book. With
can I get some of that? Can I get some of that gun bread followed by
how would a gun book
meat?
work? Like, do you just like tear off a page, like crumple up? Is it like a spitball thing? Like,
no, you flip a page and it
barrel
just shoots.
No, it's in the spine.
Can I get
when I book
gun?
It shoots. You know.
Can I get a gun bunkle? Summon.
Oh, the gun bunkle. Oh gosh, I remember the gun bunkle.
Man.
Gun bunkle.
I think that's one glamour we're probably not gonna get for. But yeah, that's pretty much it for news. There's a lot of stuff, lots of cool information. And as we wrap this up too, if anybody in the chat has questions for us after we do our intro here, we'll spend a few minutes and answer those if you have any. So get them typed up now. But that'll do it for this episode of Aetheryte Radio. You can reach us at Aetheryte Radio at gamerscape.com. Send us an email, questions, comments, whatever you want. We'll read it on the show. And you can also hit us up on Twitter at Aetheryte Radio and at Gamerscape. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
And that is the show proper. And I totally just skipped over that